Before the Giants-Reds 3-game weekend series even started, there was drama. We didn't know anything that happened at first, but as time went on, info started to come out. Someone said some stuff, that someone then got slapped in the face Will Smith style, literally, and the slapper, Tommy Pham, has now been suspended. But there's more. Pham was not a fan of what Pederson was saying. Pederson wasn't happy either, and believe it or not, this all had to do with fantasy football. We didn't know anything about the incident when it initially happened. There was one picture posted to Twitter of a bunch of players from both teams in the outfield kind of crowded together, and then a video of the same thing with players and coaches running toward the situation, and it was also reported that no punches were thrown. Just like with anything else, as time went on, we got more info on the matter. Originally, the beef between Tommy Pham and Joc Pederson made zero sense. They've only been division rivals once, and it was for 60 games in 2020. But other than that, the two have never had a known feud of any kind, and the Giants and Reds hadn't even played each other up until the point of the incident. So what could this have been about? Fantasy football. No, seriously, a fantasy football league from 2020. Right before the game started, Tommy Pham was actually pulled from the lineup, and according to reports, the Giants requested that he be taken out of the lineup before the game as well. After the game, that's when the most information came out, and Joc Pederson told his side of the story.
That was the only physical part. Yeah, we were in a fantasy league together. I put a player on the injured reserve when they were listed as out, and added another player. And then there was a text message in the group saying that I was cheating because I was stashing players on my bench. And then I don't know, I looked up the rules and sent a screenshot of the rules, how it says that when a player is ruled out, you're allowed to put him on the IR, and that's all I was doing. It just so happened that he had a player, Jeff Wilson, who was out, and he had him on the IR, and I said, you literally have the same thing on your team, on your bench. And then I guess he was in 2 leagues, and in one of them he was on the IR and one of them he wasn't, so maybe that was a confusion. But on the ESPN league we were in, it was listed as out. Feels very similar to what I did. We never had any more contact. The only time we texted was in the group text, and yeah, I mean, it was over a year ago. It was a surprise. No, there was no real argument. He kind of came up and said, you remember from last year? And I was like, fantasy football? And he's like, yeah. Yeah.
Where did he slap you? I mean, like, across the cheek?
Yep.
Yeah.
In the cheek.
Yeah,
there was a decent amount of people around, and didn't get emotional, and don't think violence is the answer, I guess you could say. So I kind of left the situation, and some other players were out there, and it when bench is clear, but it was batting practice, and there was nothing more to it.
Pham actually ended up agreeing to sit out the first game of the series against the Giants, and also accepted his 3-game suspension given to him by the league. On Saturday, Pham explained his side of what happened, talking about how Pederson had said something about Pham's former team, the Padres, that he didn't like it, and he said he also didn't like what was going on in the fantasy league. There was also more, too, as Pham said, quote, "We had too much money on the line, so I look at it like there's a code. You're with my money. Then you're going to say some disrespectful shit. There's a code to this," going on to add that he's a big dog in Vegas and a high roller at many casinos. Tommy Pham clearly has some anger issues, and I think Joc handled this pretty well. If you haven't seen my video on Tommy Pham, go check that out if you haven't already, as it has some background as to why he'd act the way he does a lot of the time. But I'm also not going to defend Pham for slapping Joc Pederson over fantasy football. It's just kinda absurd. Let me know what you think about this situation, and thank you for watching.